say so. Know this. Killing is my business, ladies, and business is good.
Hello everyone, it's KhaliPVP bringing you another video for PvPE slash PvE slash World vs. World. So this one, it's my bleed version of World vs. World. I know previously I did the crit based one, so now I want to kind of discuss the bleed one. So let's get started with our weapon skills and utility skills. For our weapon skills, we all have dagger. The primary skill you're going to be using is Death Blossom. It's kind of like the cookie cutter for bleed builds for thieves, and you kind of want to compensate that with a couple of your auto attacks, mainly Lotus Strike and Heart Seeker. The Cloak and Dagger we don't really use often, but for Dancing Dagger we do use that as a gap closer, but mainly speaking your fights are going to be pretty much Death Blossom, your auto attack, and Heart Seeker. For the second weapon set we have your short bow. With the short bow, again, you're not going to do much. Mainly you're going to be using choking gas and then the auto attack to spread out the choking gas. Usually use it as a combo, so you put down choking gas and you shoot through that combo field to get poisonous bolts from your trick shot. The other one that you're going to be using somewhat relatively is going to be Cluster Bomb. Unlike the crit based version, you want to make sure you detonate Cluster Bomb as much as you can, whereas the crit one you could get away with not detonating it because you still did a lot of damage. With the bleed one, you want to detonate it so that you can get that three stacks of bleeding from the detonation. So I personally don't like to use it as much because I'm not, as I noted before, I'm not too good with detonating it right before it hits the ground, which is like the sweet spot of detonation. If you do it too early, you don't get the stacks for your target. So you want to do it right on their head pretty much, so that you can get the 3 stacks on each target. So mainly speaking, choking gas is going to be a primary attack for your short bow. On to the utility skills and healing skills. The healing skill we have is Withdraw. The reason I picked Withdraw over Signet of Malice, which a lot of people seem to be fans of, I'll actually point out later on when we go over trades. But for the time being, pick Withdraw over Signet of Malice. For the utility skills and elite skill, the first one we have is Caltrops. Basically, you put it down, it puts a field around you that anytime people step on it, they take little minute amount of damage. I think it's like 10 damage, but the main thing from it is you put bleeding on them, bleeding and cripple, which again, since this is the bleeding build, you want to make sure you can stack as much as you can, and each second that they stay within that field, they take another stack of bleeding, and it lasts for 14 seconds. For the next one we have is Shadow Trap. Set a trap and vanish into stealth when people trigger it. A lot of people wonder why I picked this one up, and I'll explain it when we get into our traits, but for the time being, this is the one you want. The next one we have is Signet of Shadows. This one's a variable slot. It's either going to be Signet of Shadows or Spider Venom. The reason I run around with Signet of Shadows is since I'm trying to get to the fights faster, you want to get that extra 25% speed boost with the passive. But if you're in the middle of a fight, let's say you're attacking a tower, that speed boost really doesn't give you any benefit, so you want to switch that out for Spider Venom. As for our elite, we go with Dagger Storm, and I know again people are huge fans of Assassin's Guild, or Thieves Guild rather. I am not, and if you look at any of my previous playthrough videos, you'll know why I am a huge advocate of Dagger Storm. So for that purpose, I picked Dagger Storm because again it puts that 5 seconds of bleeds which each hit. Now on to our equipment and weapon set. Since this is a PvE environment, I can't really say I get this, But basically, I pretty much picked up carrion stuff. For those of you that are poor, you can pick up the Odor of Whispers armor set, and that will do more than fine for this build. The only two different equipment pieces that I have is I have the crafted helmet, and I think this is the chest piece I got from one of the temples from Ore. So if you have the money, you can get the whole crafted set, which is more than fine. But if you're short on money, you can pick up the Order of Whisper set, and that too will be perfectly okay for the build. On to our trinkets and stuff. The back piece, I'm using the one from the Halloween event. You can again pick any back piece that you want. You can pick the 5 gold one that you can get from World vs. World, or you can get the one that you can pick up from beating the game, aka the story mode. For the trinket pieces, we essentially have Criscola all across the board, and I have just one, I guess, what is this, exotic rather, piece. I did mess up on one of the things. I picked up coral. This was a mistake. I wanted to go Criscola, but I made a mistake. But anyway, essentially you just want to pretty much fill it up with Criscolas. On to our traits. This is the big thing that we were looking into. It's pretty much a split copy of my Bleed version 3.5, 30, 20, 20. 30 points into trickery to pick up uncatchable. Each time you dodge, you leave behind caltrops. These ones are very similar to the ones in the utility, but they only last for 3 seconds instead of 14. Another one we're going to pick up is Bountiful Theft. Anytime you steal, you grant Vigor for 15 seconds. Again, Vigor allows us to regenerate endurance, which allows us to dodge. And the last one, which is pretty much the cookie cutter for all 30-point thieves, is essentially anytime you use a healing skill, you gain 4 initiative. So right there, you kind of get an idea why I picked Withdraw over Signet of Malice. The issue is the pro of using Signet of Malice is its passive ability, which heals you every time you deal damage. If you use the healing signet, you lose the passive capabilities. So most people, what I've seen with Signet of Malice is they'll actually they won't use the healing skill. Instead, they'll rely solely on the attacks to gain health. However, since we do go into 30 points into trickery, you don't gain the full benefit of that trait. So that's one reason we use Withdraw over Signet of Malice. Anyway, back to the traits. 20 points into Acrobat to pick up Power of Inertia, gain Might whenever you dodge. Again, synergizes really well with our trickery trait line, which gives us Vigor. And the next one, we pick up the 20 points into Vigorous Recovery, Vigor upon healing. Again, another reason that we want to have Withdraw over Signet of Malice. 20 points into Shadow Arts. This is we pick up Infusion of Shadow, gain 22 initiative rather, using a skill that stealths you, and then our 20.1 Hidden Thief, stealing grants you 2 seconds of stealth. So right there, again, just like I explained in the 3.5 Bleed guide, is anytime you steal, you gain stealth. Because you gain stealth, you get 2 initiative, and as well as you gain 3 initiative from the trickery line. God, I can't speak today. Trickery line, which essentially gives you 5 seconds of 5 initiative anytime you use stealing. So, which is just enough to do another Death Blossom. So, what are the positives and negatives about this build? Well, let's go with positives. The positives for the build right now is it's very defensive offensive, meaning that you are still, you will still kill people, but you have a lot of defensive capabilities. Simply put, you have more health to begin with, and your primary attack skills are also evasive skills, so you barely take damage on one-on-one situations. So because of that, in my experience, it's really easy to solo camp, solo people, solo bosses and whatnot. So that's one of the big pros of this build. Another big pro about the build is, since it's a bleeding condition build, you don't have to worry about staying on top of your target. So essentially, what you do is you put your bleeding down, and then just run away from the target and let the bleeds pretty much do its damage. Your primary damage comes from your bleeding, so staying on target really is not an issue. So negatives. Another negative that we have with this build is that you're not going to be as strong as the crit build when you're doing siege, only because you don't really have your big numbers from cluster bomb. Instead, you got to really rely on your choking gas or your poison, which is not strong, because poison really isn't a strong condition. It doesn't stack with in intensity. It only stacks in duration. Because of this, you're really limited as to what you can do in siege environments. But that isn't to say it's a bad build, because you can shine in more of a hit and run environment. So overall, my thoughts on the build, it does seem like it has a lot of negatives than positives. However, for my playstyle, I prefer the positives over the negatives, because I'm much more of a kind of a hit and run kind of guy. I like to wander around the battlefield, pick off targets, solo camps. So for my playstyle, it really benefits. The positives outshine the negatives. So it really depends on your playstyle, as if you're much more of a person that is likely to siege or defend sieges and stuff like that. This probably is not the build for you. But if you're like me, that enjoy one-on-ones or like small scale fights that break out, then definitely I would suggest trying to play this build out and see how you like it. Anyway, so this has been my bleed build for PvE World vs. World. It's another one from KhaliPVP. If you guys like the video, subscribe, like it, and let me know what you guys think about it, and hopefully I see you guys in the battlefield.